June 6, 1944, 6:30 in the morning, Omaha Beach, Normandy. It is known in the history books as Bloody Omaha, and for the American soldiers jumping out of the landing craft, it is hell on earth. The beach is a slaughterhouse. Nazi Germany has spent years building the Atlantic Wall, concrete bunkers, barbed wire, anti-tank obstacles, and overlooking the sand, the deadly MG-42 machine guns firing 1,200 rounds a minute. The first wave of American infantry is pinned down behind steel hedgehogs. The sand turns red. Mortars tear the beach apart. They cannot advance. They cannot retreat. They are trapped in the kill zone. The tension is so thick you can almost taste the gunpowder and fear in the air. And at this exact moment of absolute despair, when history holds its breath before jumping into the abyss, the impossible happens. May 12, 2018, present day, the Mojave Desert, California. It is a scorching, cloudless summer day at the National Training Center. A massive strategic live-fire exercise is underway. A column of heavy armored vehicles is making a rapid tactical advance across the desert. These are not standard tanks. These are apex predators designed to escort Abrams tanks and annihilate anything in their path. The M2A3 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles. The commander of this elite armored troop is Staff Sergeant Miller, a combat-hardened veteran. He sits calmly in the commander's hatch of his lead vehicle. All around him quietly pulses the hidden power of 21st century technology. The M2 Bradley is a uniquely devastating machine of war. Its primary goal is the absolute guaranteed destruction of enemy armor and infantry. Its hull is heavily covered in explosive reactive armor, capable of shrugging off direct hits from modern anti-tank weapons. But its armament is what strikes primal terror into any enemy. The main weapon is a 25mm Bushmaster chain gun. It fires heavy, depleted uranium armor-piercing rounds at over 4,000 feet per second. Mounted on the side of the turret is a twin-tube tow missile launcher, optically tracked, wire-guided missiles with a range of over 2 miles. And the brain of this beast is a state-of-the-art digital fire control system, extremely sensitive thermal imagers, precise laser rangefinders, and powerful ballistic computers. The crew can see the entire battlefield in the bright of day or the pitch black of night. They can see targets through thick, acrid smoke and the densest fog. Miller listens intently to the encrypted digital radio. Reaper 1, this is command. Increase your current pace. Proceed immediately to the designated attack line. Copy that, command. Increasing speed. The driver presses the heavy gas pedal. The turbocharged diesel engine lets out a low, menacing growl. The 30-ton steel machine effortlessly picks up speed across the rough desert terrain. Close behind it followed 2 more deadly Bradleys. 3 heavy machines, 3 crews of highly trained professionals. And suddenly, the familiar reality completely breaks down. The air directly in front of the speeding column begins to warp strangely, like the air melting asphalt in the desert, but hundreds of thousands of times stronger. A rhythmic, pulsating energy glow appears, a blinding, unearthly white light. The temperature inside the cramped, armored cabins drops drastically, almost to absolute zero. The digital onboard systems simultaneously go crazy. They endlessly spit out dozens of critical system errors. The commander's panoramic thermal screens are instantly flooded with gray static noise. Miller, instinctively straining his voice, shouts into his helmet microphone. Entire column, immediate halt, emergency track braking, unknown obstacle directly on our heading. But the perfectly correct order comes too late. The lead command vehicle, at full cruising speed, flies straight into the impenetrable wall of pulsating light. Behind it, the second machine vanishes without a trace, then the third. The entire armored troop is swallowed whole by a strange spatial anomaly. The secure digital connection with base command drops instantly. Instead of a clean, encrypted signal, a wild, analog crackle now blares in their headsets. And breaking clearly through the static are scraps of harsh, aggressive foreign speech. It is pure, classic German. A powerful energy flash blinds the crews, even through the thick armored glass. There is a sharp, nauseating feeling of endless falling, followed instantly by a bone-crushing impact against solid ground. The heavy steel tracks of the machines clank loudly. The blinding white light suddenly dies. It is immediately replaced by a gloomy, terrifying gray dawn. The air around the stalled machines reeks of bitter smoke, burnt gunpowder, and spilled blood. Miller very slowly, with great difficulty, opens his eyes. "Crew, immediate report. Status of all onboard systems." The young driver's voice trembles noticeably. "Running gear is fully normal. Main diesel is stable. But navigation is completely dead. GPS doesn't see a single satellite. We aren't on our digital map at all. We are in a total blind spot." The gunner, Corporal Davis, turns pale before his eyes. He stares intensely at his backup optical screens. "Sergeant, look at the external cameras." Miller quickly turns on the commander's panoramic sight. Instead of the familiar Mojave Desert, he sees an endless stretch of wet sand and steep cliffs. It is completely densely cratered by heavy artillery shells. It is choked with thick, black, oily smoke. But the most terrifying, unbelievable thing is the scene unfolding around them. Just a few hundred yards away, thousands of men are pinned down on the beach. They're wearing old, historical, olive-drab uniforms and steel pot helmets. And firing down at them from massive concrete bunkers on the cliffs are the distinct, terrifying silhouettes of MG-42 machine guns. Miller reflexively zooms in the digital image. The 21st century optics work perfectly. He can clearly see the swastikas painted on the concrete pillboxes. He can see the desperate soot-covered faces of the American soldiers bleeding on the sand. What kind of insane historical reenactment is this? In the cramped Bradley, packed with complex electronics, a heavy, ringing silence hangs in the air, broken only by the steady hum of the modern diesel engine. "Sergeant, what year is it?" Davis asks, almost in a whisper. Miller, silently, with growing icy horror, looks at the radio frequency analyzer. The airwaves are incredibly dense with messages. There is absolutely no modern digital encryption. It is completely open, panicked, chaotic radio chatter in English and German. Miller clearly hears the horrific screams of pain, desperate pleas for immediate medic support, harsh, uncompromising combat orders. "Target the seawall! Keep your heads down! Fire on those bunkers!" Miller instantly and absolutely understands. It is completely impossible from the point of view of classical physics. It sounds like the absolute raving nonsense of a madman. But complex, repeatedly tested onboard instruments never lie. By some fantastic, unbelievable means, they have fallen straight into 1944, into the bleeding heart of D-Day, Omaha Beach. 3 modern Bradleys stand motionless in a tight strike group, right in the middle of a historical hell. Heavy artillery shells burst deafeningly all around them. Massive clods of wet sand drum loudly against the composite armor. So far, no one in the fighting armies pays any attention to these strange machines. The soldiers are completely consumed by their desperate, deadly struggle. Sergeant Miller confidently makes the only right decision in a fraction of a second. He is an American soldier. Right in front of him is a real, historical, brutal enemy, an enemy mercilessly slaughtering his countrymen. The choice is absolutely obvious. "Squadron, all crews listen carefully to my direct combat order." Miller's voice sounds extremely harsh over the secure internal comms. The crews instantly snap out of their stupor. "We are inexplicably on the historical territory of Normandy. The current date is June 6, 1944. Right in front of us, American troops are being massacred by Nazi defenses. Our combat mission is extremely simple and clear. Immediately provide overwhelming, crushing fire support to our infantry. Completely destroy all heavy concrete bunkers and enemy fortifications on that ridge. Let's briefly compare the military technologies of these two endlessly distant eras. The pride of German coastal defense, the Atlantic Wall bunkers, walls of reinforced concrete up to 6 feet thick, deadly MG-42 machine guns with an effective range of over a mile. But their optics are just high-quality glass. They have no advanced laser rangefinders, no sensitive thermal imagers, no smart onboard ballistic computers. The German gunner must see his target only with his own eyes. And now let's look at the weapons from 2018, the M2 Bradley, the Tau anti-tank missile system. Its shaped charge warhead confidently punches through nearly 3 feet of solid steel, let alone 1940s concrete. In the harsh, primitive realities of '44, this means only one thing. A modern missile will effortlessly, without the slightest resistance, pierce the thick walls of the Nazi bunkers. It will fly right through the firing slit like a hot knife through butter, and the deadly missile will guaranteed kill absolutely everyone inside. And it will do this from a massive distance of over 2 miles. The Bradley will remain absolutely 100% invulnerable to any possible response from the German enemy. And the automatic cannons, the 25-millimeter guns with terrifying rates of fire. They shoot heavy, armor-piercing, depleted uranium shells. At a distance of a mile, they will simply tear the German concrete and sandbag positions to small pieces. In a few seconds, they will turn their defenses into a leaky sieve. Miller stares intently at his bright tactical screen. Gunner Davis has already clearly highlighted the main priority targets. The onboard digital computer instantly took them under stable automatic tracking. Bright flashing red lock-on frames obediently settle on the massive German bunkers overlooking the beach. Enemy targets classified. Heavy concrete fortifications. Expend scarce ammunition carefully. Strictly 1 guided missile per bunker. Squadron, weapons free. Fire. With a deafening hiss, the modern TOW missiles tear off the launch tubes. The powerful, ear-shattering sound of the rocket launch echoes across the beach. Bright, fiery tails rapidly draw perfect straight lines in the smoke-filled sky. The German veteran gunners completely fail to understand the unfolding nightmare. In their reality, such unbelievable weapons simply do not exist. There is no loud boom of enemy naval artillery, just sudden, invisible, inevitable death. It falls on them lightning fast, straight from the smoke-covered beach. The first heavy bunker erupts with a deafening crash, a detonation of incredible, frightening force. The supersonic missile simply vaporizes the machine gun crew inside the pillbox. A second later, a second German bunker explodes brightly. Then a third goes up like a matchstick, blown to small pieces. A fourth catches fire. A fifth. In a single, perfectly coordinated volley, it's all over. A few short seconds of total blazing hell. The elite of the German coastal defense is instantly stripped of its best fortified positions. The German commanders absolutely cannot believe their own eyes. They look through their binoculars in panic. With growing animal horror, they see the inevitable, horrific destruction of their invincible defenses. They crack loudly like fragile, rotten nuts under the direct blow of a giant steel sledgehammer. Meanwhile, on the tactical right flank, active enemy movement begins. A column of German medium Panzer IV tanks, held in reserve, frantically tries to move down the roads toward the beachhead to push the Americans back into the sea. Miller incredibly coolly gives his new combat command. All combat machines immediately switch to the automatic cannons. Priority targets, German medium armor. Fire to kill. 3 Bradley fighting vehicles practically simultaneously open an unprecedented furious barrage. 3 powerful automatic cannons work in sync. The combined practical rate of fire reaches hundreds of rounds a minute. It is a solid, physically tangible, dense wall of scorching, deadly metal. An endless stream of durable steel and uranium hits the German combat formations tightly. The heavy armor-piercing 25mm shells incredibly easily pierce the thin side armor of the Panzer IVs. A hot knife effortlessly enters soft butter. The German tanks flare up brightly, one after another like matches. The enemy turrets don't even physically have time to turn toward the looming threat. The German infantry perishes absolutely instantly. There is simply no chance of survival for the enemy. The exhausted American GIs on the beach freeze for a moment in deep, reverent shock. They see with their own eyes something completely unimaginable. Unseen, futuristic, alien land dreadnoughts effortlessly destroying the invincible German defenses. "Forward, boys! Hit those fascist bastards!" a young American lieutenant shouts, his voice cracking. Hundreds of American soldiers with new, doubled strength rapidly rush straight into the breached gap. The troop of futuristic Bradleys becomes the most indestructible solid steel tip of this decisive counterattack. The historical Battle of Omaha Beach phenomenally quickly ends with the rapid, total defeat of the German defensive line. The world's history is rewritten, finally and forever. Sergeant Miller tiredly looks at the smoking, twisted ruins of the enemy bunkers. There are no more modern guided missiles, but they still have high technology. They still have precise blueprints and advanced electronics of the future. The Great War will now guaranteed end much faster. They are left in this harsh past, absolutely forever, but it is they who will now certainly build a completely new, great future. And now, dear viewers, it is your turn. Write your boldest ideas in the comments. What if we send different equipment? What scenario should we break down in the next episode? Subscribe to the channel. Tactical Time Rift is just getting started. I'm waiting for your options.